We are encouraging the entire world to pay attention.
We must be able to call out hypocrisy for whenever we see it, and to avoid any victim mentality.
We have eased the sanctions. We need to trade with one another, not fight each other. It is very, very necessary and compulsory for us to engender growth, stability, and economic prosperity for our people.
At the same time, we don't look at ourselves just as Rwanda and with all those complications about history and geography and so on and so forth. We see ourselves in the setting of the continent of Africa that has a lot to share.
The currency management was necessary equally to remove the artificial element of value in our currency. Let our local currency find its level and compete with the rest of the world currency.
The stars are aligning and it's freaking America out.
He was fired up, he was shouting, he was angry.
But they failed. America stood. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
Isn't it just comical watching Joe Biden get mad? Oh, you're a loser. I think it's going to happen. I think we're seeing signs of it actually happening right now, where Africa is literally going to shut the door on the West and start taking inventory of what they have in their country. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And make the West and the world pay what they're worth. If Africa can do this and pull it off, they've struck the lottery. They struck the lottery. They have hit the lottery of wisdom. And not only that, but Kagame brings out something in this video that is the greatest key I think I've heard of any of them say. And ladies and gentlemen, grab a drink. I'm so excited for Africa right now. Grab a drink. We're going to watch this together and we're going to go over it. One love. Like and subscribe. Let's get into this.
President Tinubu of Nigeria, I think you took over the presidency last year in May, so you have had 11 months as president. You took over at a critical time for Nigeria. The economic situation was tough, but you took measures from the beginning to then recalibrate the economy. You cut the subsidies on fossil fuels. You also took aims at dealing with the currency. And of course, it's been a tough year economically for Nigeria, but I guess you're now seeing also some light in the end of the tunnel. And Nigeria being such an important economy, not only in Africa, in the world, how do you see now the prospects and what are your next steps to really make Nigeria's economy grow further?
For Nigeria, we are immensely consistent with our belief that the economic collaboration and inclusiveness is necessary to engender stability in the rest of the world. Concerning the question of the subsidy removal, there's no doubt that it was a necessary action for my country not to go bankrupt. One, to reset the economy and the pathway to growth. It is going to be difficult, but the hallmark of leadership is taking difficult decisions at the time it ought to be taken decisively. That was necessary for the country. Yes, there will be blowback, there is expectation that the difficulty in it will be felt by a greater number of the people. But once, I believe it was their interest that is the focus of the government. It is easier to manage and explain.
How important is that? Let me know what you think down below for African currency to find its level. To find it, I mean, take inventory. Uganda, get with Rwanda. Ghana, get with Nigeria. Everybody, all of the countries in Africa, get together. What do we got? What do we want to value our assets at? I mean, Ghana can help Ethiopia drill. Ethiopia can help Rwanda drill or build manufacturing plants. And within its country, they've got the resources to evaluate everything and put a price tag that they want to get on things. So leveling out the currency, let me know what you think about that down below. I think it's needful, but that's just me. Let me know what you think down below. I see changes. I see changes happening, and it's just happening. So here we go. We're going to keep going. But let me know what you think.
The difficulties. Along the line, there is a parallel arrangement to really cushion the effect of the subsidy removal on the vulnerable population of the country. We share the pain across board. We cannot but include those who are very vulnerable. Luckily, we have a very vibrant, youthful population interested in discoveries by themselves and highly ready for technology, good education, committed to growth. We were able to manage that and partition the economic drawback and the fallout of the subsidy removal. Equally, it engendered transparency, accountability, and physical discipline for the country. And that's, to me, is more important to focus on what direction we should go. And we pursue that rigorously. The currency management was necessary equally to remove the artificial element of value in our currency. Let our local currency find its level and compete with the rest of the world currency and remove arbitrage, corruption, and opaqueness. That's what we did. At the same time, that's a two-engine problem in a very turbulent situation for the government.
President Kagame, Rwanda is doing well economically. We are expecting 7% economic growth in Rwanda this year, but it is a complicated neighborhood. It is a complicated world, and it's all about also investments and also innovation. You're also being one of the leaders behind the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, and a successful implementation of that could add a a lot of growth to Africa, and it can become one of the largest single markets in the world. Listening to your colleagues here, but also the complexities, how do you see Africa in the years to come? How can Africa manage in this transformative decade, as Kristalina was mentioning?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for enabling us to be here to have this very meaningful discussion. Straight away to the question, it's even more complicated than that, and we cannot understand where we have come from as Rwanda without looking at the history, the geography, everything is complicated that you have to deal with. And even in the development of our economy and our country generally, it's like you are always fighting for every step of the way forward. And that therefore means when we are talking about inclusivity, it's not just a word, a nice word, and with a nice meaning. It's a lot of work to do, even complex, like in our country, and that background I've just mentioned. At the same time, we don't look at ourselves just as Rwanda and with all those complications about history and geography and so on and so forth. We see ourselves in the setting of the continent of Africa that has a lot to share. So growth we have realized and continue to realize is driven by what we try to do within the country itself with those constraints, but also looking at what you can do with the sub-regions we find ourselves in or cooperating with. What we are trying to do now is to make sure that it becomes real. The obstacles that are there for the African continent to come together are removed, but it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, but that is happening. And I'm sure my brother here, President Tinubu of Nigeria, is involved in this as well because of the importance of his country.
Hope you don't mind if I chime in here. I got to chime in once in a while for copyright reasons, but what do you think about that right there? Is Africa really just coming together as one? Are the wheels in motion? Let me know what you think down below, and we will keep going.
But we are seeing Africa, much as you may find problems here and there, Africa is coming together. Africa is moving forward. Different countries have decent or impressive growth of the economy. This can't be coming from nothing, but the good efforts that Africans are putting in place. And therefore, it is important that from this, the rest of the world really looks at Africa as an important entity in the global affairs with its politics, economy, and so on and so forth. So, but Rwanda, we have come from the dead 30 years ago. We are now alive and thriving, and it's investments in our people and accountability and governance that we bring into play and which we share with the rest of the continent.
President Tinubu, you have dealt with the domestic economic challenges, and in many ways Nigeria is a superpower in its region. But the region is looking also very challenging with Sahel, with the situation in Mali, Chad, also know in Niger. And I know the time is short, but is there any way we can see a stabilization in your surroundings in the years to come, or is it, does it look very, very grim?
Thank you very much. We are encouraging the entire world to pay attention to Sahel and the countries around us in ECOWAS. As the chairman of the ECOWAS, I've witnessed the big influence of Nigeria to discourage unconstitutional change of government. That is stabilizing. Equally, we have eased the sanctions. We need to trade with one another, not fight each other. It is very, very necessary and compulsory for us to engender growth, stability, and economic prosperity for our people. The rest of the world needs to look at fundamentals of the problem, not just ordinary geopolitically. It has to go to the root. As the world paid attention to the poverty level of Sahel and the rest of ECOWAS, have they helped the infusion of capital and pay adequate attention to the exploitation and opportunities availed by the mineral resources that is available? Are we going to play only a big brother's role in a talk shop without necessary action? We just have to be involved in the exploitation, promotion, and prosperity of that region in order to see peace and stability and economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you. So, President Kagame, we have this West-East challenge, but we also lately had this North-South. So a lot of the South is saying that there are double standards from the North.
Yes.
So how do you look at this, and is there a way for the North to regain the trust of the South? And someone in the North maybe would say the same, but I think it's mainly now South-North. So in 2 minutes, you can give us the full description and the blueprint for that.
Well, first of all, the divide is there. Let's not be vague about it. And we need to avoid it. We need to fight it. For example, if you look at it from the perspective of the global shocks that we talk about here and there, irrespective of where they have come from, all countries in the world are affected. Of course, some affected more than others. But that's fine. But that is a reminder that we need to, therefore, look at what has been talked about, the inclusiveness that we are talking about, and collaboration that brings different entities of the world together. So for that, we must be able to call out hypocrisy for whenever we see it. And it is there because we keep talking about North-South divide or other divides, but we don't find easily and quickly the solution to that. Yet we can. we know that we can do that. Therefore, and in this case, I'm going to argue for our continent, the continent of Africa, which, by the way, has the fastest growing middle class. And in fact, in not too distant future, it will be the only place that has a growing middle class. Mm-hmm. So how can you forget that this is a very important place on in our world? Now, two things have to happen. The rest of the world have got to see that this is an important place to invest with and invest in. That's one. Second is for Africa itself to avoid any victim mentality and start raising ourselves to the level where we should be, in fact, where we are, that we are a very important geographical part of our world, and with a lot of resources. It's not just natural resources, it's the people at the same time. So I think being reasonable, seeing things for what they are, and then being upfront in fighting for the rights, therefore, maybe we shall be able to narrow the divide, but Africa has a very important place to be, an important role to play.
Thank you. Yep. So, Peter Orsag.
To avoid any victim mentality and start raising ourselves to the level where we should be, in fact, where we are.
That's it. Right there. Right there. That's it. That's it. Kagame coming up saying, we got to get rid of this victim mentality. We got to get rid of the victimhood mentality. That is the key to prosperity. That is the key to a prosperous spirit. There's a prosperous spirit, and then there's a poverty spirit. Poverty spirit is going to have, I'm a victim, and they'll never move forward in the prosperity that they are meant to be. As a son of God, as the Most High God, you were made to prosper. He knows the plans He's got for you to plan to prosper you and give you hope in the future. That's the plans He has for you. And when you start walking in that prosperity, that I am no victim, I am a conqueror, I am an overcomer, and I know where I'm going. And you're not looking back. And in Africa, you can see it right now. Their spirits have been lifted up. They're moving forward, and nothing's going to stop them. They are no victim. They're living with this vision. And nobody can tell them, oh, no, you're a victim. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you. You're a victim. No more. No more. And that right there, when Kagame brought that up, I was like, wow. That's it. And that's it. That's it. Once you start living as a conqueror, as an overcomer, you know that there's nothing, no mountain that can move, that can get in your way. You know that there's no mountain that can stop you. I'm no victim. I'm stronger than that. I've overcome that. There's nothing that can stop me. There's nothing in the past that's going to stop me in my victimhood. Those were lessons that I learned. I got my lessons back then. Now I'm moving forward with this knowledge that I've got, that I'm walking in. I'm walking in victory. I'm walking in not victimhood. I'm walking in victoryhood. I'm walking as a overcomer. That's it. That's just it. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right.